I don't consider myself to be a smart person in any context at all. Let me just say that right now. I've made way too many mistakes in my life for me to ever consider myself to be a smart person. I consider myself to be devastatingly lucky, and even then, is only by just enough to not die in a nation that wants to be dead for simply being a black dude. With that being said, I went a really, really, really long time thinking that I was just not the smartest person on the planet. As a matter of fact, I actually used to think that I was just the dumbest person, just in general. I just thought that I was, a moron amongst savants. And then I actually sat down and I actually had conversations with people who also claimed to be smart, and you find out that like there's either a lot that they don't know or a lot that they purposely misunderstand for the sake of sounding smarter for contradicting it. And that I'm starting to think that people are just not smart. Let me actually scooch up for this one because I really feel like this is definitely one of those things I kind of need to like just sort of address. I don't think that there is such thing as like geniuses. I'm starting to think because like even if you because like there's this belief system that like that everybody has this idea of what is considered to be mental enlightenment, and I'm starting to think that like because everybody has an idea of what is considered to be mental enlightenment, they think that there is a person out there that is actually that level of enlightened that they just sort of imagine in their heads. And the problem is that like they can't explain to you or tell you who that person is or how to display the abilities that this is a thing that's possible. To put this in perspective, when I was younger, I used to have this idea in my head that like a person who is meditating or achieved peak meditation is somebody who is sitting in a lotus pose, literally floating at least a good 2 inches off the ground with their eyes closed and their ears like lobed down, like just wow, wow, wow. And like I'm thinking Dalsim from Street Fighter, okay? And then when I realized that that's not real, I still consider meditation to still be something that's useful, but I never really thought of meditation as I never thought of a peak form of meditation. Does that make sense? I never thought of a peak form of meditation after that. Um, with that being said, there's people out here who can't even tell you what they believe peak knowledge to actually be. But they 100% either A, are pursuing guidance from somebody who they believe is a smart person, or B, trying to actually be that stuff themselves. And my whole thing is that like I'm starting to just think that there's no such thing as smart people because if you encountered somebody who knew everything, you still there will still be a whole lot that they genuinely don't know. Or what's even worse is that they could just be lying to you. You know what I'm saying? And that's the part that really kind of like messes with my head a little bit. It's the fact that it's like it's really, really, really easy for somebody to convince you that they're smart as long as you sometimes believe their lies. And my whole thing is that like I'm not gonna say I'm a skeptic, but like there's some things that I choose to believe and there's some things I choose not to believe because I have an open bias towards certain pieces of information. If I don't want to believe something, I won't. And if I do want to believe something, I will. If I want to believe something that I didn't earlier, I'm still capable of doing that. And if I want to disbelieve something that I did believe in, I'm willing to do that. Unless, of course, I'm faithful to the thing that I'm being. Unless, of course, I'm ridiculously faithful to the thing that I am, the wrong thing that I am supporting. Because there are hills that I'm willing to die on that I'm pretty sure I'm the only person that's sitting on those hills. You know what I'm saying? I'm willing to be a man on an island for certain things, and I'm willing to have my mind changed. But I'm willing to have my mind changed by my own perspective. Like you can't just berate me into believing a thing that you want to believe just because you popped up and said you're wrong and here's why. Yeah, I'm gonna be like, okay, that's fine. I still am gonna believe what I want to believe, buddy. But thanks for the advice, though. I was watching. There was a video that popped up on my feed about this guy who said that he's like fluent in 8 languages and he knows algebra 1, 2, and 3, and he's claiming to just be this ridiculously smart guy. And then somebody asks him what's 12 times 12, and he makes up numbers that is remarkably higher than the actual number. 12 times 12, by the way, is 144. But this gentleman says something like literally over 100,000, or I don't know. Like he just said these wildly massive numbers, and the whole thing is that like I'm pretty sure if he actually had time to think about it, or if it was just like or if he wasn't put on the spot, he probably would have been able to answer the question a little bit better. But I think but like obviously people were mocking him and being like, I can't believe that he didn't know that 12 times 12 is 144. He's an idiot. And then it just dawned on me. We as a society, I feel like society in general, we're just a bunch of bullies now. We're just really just a bunch of bullies. Because is it really that hard to believe that in a nation where a lot of people dropped out of high school and a lot of people dropped out of middle school, do you really think, just in general, that in a country that's chock full of people who like dropped out of school and are anti-intellectual and are just dumb and mean, do you really 100% believe that these people some of these people, like in a society like this, that people are going to know certain things? I'm genuinely surprised that there's people in my age group who know how to tie their shoes. To put this in perspective, I know how to tie my shoes. I know a couple of other people know how to tie their shoes, but have you seen who the president is? We're really supposed to believe that the average person is smart because it's smart? I'm sorry. It's just what I'm trying to bring up is that like I feel like we just like I do feel like we should definitely give people a little bit more grace when it comes to certain things like this, because people be dumb. You know what I'm saying? Mocking people for being dumb doesn't exactly fix any problems either. It just makes because the most dangerous person in America is a person who's dumb and angry. Have we never read The Incredible Hulk? Have we never seen what happens when a bunch of dumb, angry people get together? You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is that we can we could amuse ourselves by belittling, or we could just help these people get smarter. I'm not necessarily saying I'm not trying to tell people, hey, stop bullying, because we all know that if you tell somebody to quit bullying, they're gonna be like, well, now I'm gonna bully you too. You know what I'm saying? But what I am saying is that it just feels a little out of place for people to grow up in a society where people are just mean as heck, viciously dumb and loyal to being dumb, to just say, well, I can't believe they didn't know this. It's like, yeah, we're a nation chock full of high school, there's high school dropouts, there's middle school dropouts, there's college dropouts, there's anti-intellectualists, there's people who read up on science and math and and culture and all of these other things, and the first thing they say is, I disagree, here's my perspective, everybody should follow what I have to say. And it's like, no, nobody should. And there's a reason for that. Here's why. It's like, no, you should listen to me. It's like we live in this world right now where there's a bunch of anti-intellectuals who want to sound intellectual. We live in a world where there's a bunch of dumb people who want to sound smart to impress other dumb people. And the problem is that when you do that, you now have a whole bunch of dumb people following a dumb person because that person managed to convince those dumb people that they're smart. So that it's just, I don't know where I was going with this, but I just want to say I don't think anybody is smart. And because I don't, and I feel like we kind of need to sort of acknowledge the fact that maybe some people just aren't that smart. And instead of making their lives miserable for it, you could either A, help them, or B, leave them alone. It's just that simple. But mocking them is only going to make situations much, much worse. Let's never forget that a lot of things in this country have been shifted in some fashion because somebody just didn't like how they were being treated. You got the manosphere who is angry because they got rejected by all the women that they wanted to encounter. So it's just a bunch of guys who are just angry because the ladies that they wanted didn't want them back. And now they are just like this gratuitously large community that managed to just like convince the entire country to just be continue to be bigoted, continue to be racist, and now add misogyny onto that mix. You have the incel community, same thing. You have white supremacists who are basically just upset because now they have to share a space with people that they hate, and rather than isolate, they say we have to invade and attack because these people are in our space now. What I'm saying is that we live in a nation right now where people are just basically retaliating, and we need to maybe give people less reason to retaliate. And to retaliate, the most dangerous people who can retaliate are dumb people. Because once they realize that they actually have power in this country, and they do, they'll get more and more dangerous down the line. The correct answer was 144. Just tell that guy that and keep it moving. You don't have to mock him for not knowing the answer. I hope I made sense. I feel like I was just rambling. But yeah, people are not smart. Be nice.